What's up, everybody? Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Overwatch video. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down 10 heroes that you are just playing wrong. Flat out, straight up, incorrectly. And these can range from small mistakes that you just are making over and over again to even larger mistakes where the overall playstyle of the hero that you're playing is actually just fundamentally incorrect and you're setting yourself up to fail here. So, I'm going to break all that down. Now, the first character that we got to break down on this list is none other than Echo. And a lot of players play Echo wrong because they really compare her to Pharah and they try to play her exactly like you would play a Pharah, but in reality, Echo doesn't really have as many similarities as Pharah as you might think. Yes, Echo can fly, but Pharah wants to systematically distance herself from all enemies because she has no fall-off range, she has a very long effective range of spam and splash damage, and because of that, even when she's going in and when she's doing her default playstyle, she's playing way different than, of course, Echo. Echo has to be playing cyclically, or a cycle similar to that of a Doomfist, where you go in when you have abilities and you see opportunity, and then you use some amount of your abilities to retreat. The number one mistake that Echo players are making is they're using their fly far too aggressively to take open space. Now, yes, you can use your fly aggressively if you see an opportunity to capitalize on a kill, but you should still always be thinking about how you're going to get out, and a lot of the time, you could actually be using it far more defensively, where instead, you position yourself aggressively, you just push up with your team, you put some value in, you might even get a kill, and then you use your fly to get out safely in the same way that a Genji dash would dash you away safely. Now, the next character that we really got to talk about is Brig, and Brig is one of those characters that is really misunderstood in my opinion. I see two styles of Brig a lot of times in lower ranks when I watch VOD reviews. Either Brigs that are scared, like they're literally scared and they play back with their team and they don't push in at all, or Brigs that only know how to push in. Like, there's two different sections of Brig players, but honestly, Brig is a character that really thrives on being able to pivot. When you have advantage, pushing in aggressively, constantly triggering Inspire and putting extra pressure on the front line, that can help you snowball, and that can help your team go in with you, get that extra bit of sustain and heal to allow them to roll over the team that has weakness. But a Brig should not be doing this all the time, because it's really easy to punish a Brig when she's alone, isolated, or with any amount of focus fire. On top of that, typically, you need to be using your shield to block either big chunks of burst damage or abilities, not just trying to tank spam damage. It's really important that a Brig is, unless she's going in, playing near natural cover so that she can save a lot of these resources like her shield, she doesn't have to use them, and then she has them when she needs them when the enemy is engaging or when she wants to engage the enemy. Then we go to the next character that we have to talk about, and it's none other than Winston. And players are really messing up Winston play all over the place. Now, Winston's a character that is amazing for putting pressure on enemies and creating space, but there's a fine line between going in and just get insta-killed or being able to be this constant threat that enemies have to always be thinking about. The best way to start really getting good at Winston is realize that you do not have to always get kills with every single leap. I see way too many Winstons want to jump into the enemy backline and they will not leave, they will full commit, and they will always be trying to get that kill. Now, yes, of course, kills are great on Winston, but more importantly, it's making enemies peel back. It's making enemies use their cooldowns. It's allowing your teammates to come onto point without being focused by the enemy team. These are all values that you're bringing to the table, but those things are not worth trading your life for. Those things are valuable, but you really should be jumping in, taking some of the aggro, taking some of the cooldowns, but still putting yourself in a position to where you could back off. Imagine something like Numbani. You jump up to the high ground, you throw your bubble down, you get a lot of the aggro of the enemies on you, but when you realize that some of these kills are not going to be obtainable, you don't just keep going and going, you drop to the low ground, you kite back to your team, you wait for your cooldowns to go back, and then you do it again and again and again. But this time, your DPS are better pushed up, you have more space on point, they're in better positions to help you capitalize on the kills, and the list goes on and on. Then we go to the next character that we really got to break down in this list, and it's none other than Widowmaker. Now, the first and probably biggest mistake that I see Widowmakers making all over the place, even some that I've recently VOD reviewed, and it's actually moving so much when enemies are not threatening you and they don't even know your position. You see, a lot of Widowmakers are almost twitchy, like they're so afraid that they're gonna be under threat or be shot by another Widowmaker that they're like randomly crouching, randomly moving left and right like they're actually horrified. Widowmaker is a character that has more effective range than anything else in the entire game. So as such, you can position far outside of the danger of many characters in the game, and on top of that, when people are not looking at you or they can't threaten you, you don't want to be moving in a way that's going to mess up your shot. At the end of the day, your shot, hitting your shot, matters more than an enemy hitting, their casual body shot. A McCree that's across the map hitting one body shot on you, if you make sure that you hit your headshot on him, it doesn't matter that he hit his shot. Now, I'm not telling you movement is, completely irrelevant, because in the Widow v Widow matchup, it is, and I've broken down many videos about the Widow v Widow matchup in particular, but against the vast majority of characters in the game, a giant percentage of people just have really, really bad movement or unnecessary movement that's making these shots very hard or very difficult for you to execute on. Then we go on to the fifth character that we got for you on the list that you are playing incorrectly, and it's Zarya. And the biggest thing that Zarya is going to be doing over and over again is using their bubbles to time their engages. This is a really simple concept, but it's so important to get right every single time. You should be going in and pushing it aggressively when you have your bubble to help you do so. It is more likely that enemies are going to focus you down when you push in. That's pretty obvious. So while you're doing so, you get to push in. You have some form of protection because you can use the bubble at any time. Enemies are more likely to focus you down, and they're going to increase your DPS as a result. This is why you push in when you have your bubbles, but as your bubble fades and you don't have that bubble cooldown, you need to back past your main tank, back up into your team where you're safe and not able to get focused down, and then you go back in aggressively when you have that bubble again. It's a cycle of back and forth, and a lot of times Zaryas will back up as they bubble their main tank to go in, and vice versa, over and over and over again. But even in solo queue, maybe you have a terrible main tank. Doesn't matter. If you play Zarya and you time your engagements where you're going back behind natural cover when you don't have bubble, and you're going in aggressively when you do, and I'm not saying push in and tap the bubble instantly. I'm saying push in, get to a point where people are like, hey, this Zarya is isolated. She's vulnerable. And then you tap that bubble. That is the true way to tap into Zarya's strength, because there's a window of time where you are much, much more invulnerable than enemies think, and also more lethal. Then we go to the next character that we got to break down on this list. It's none other than Doomfist. And a lot of players know how to play the Doomfist style where you just constantly flank. Cycles of Doomfist, yada yada. You go in, you try to get some value, you use one set of abilities to get out, and you just do that over and over again. And I'm not going to tell you that a flank Doomfist is bad, but a lot of Doomfists don't know what to do when their flank gets countered. There's a Hog, there's a McCree, there's a Brig, and they just can't get any value in the backline. Well, the thing is, Doomfist is amazing to play with a team. He's really good, actually, to play with your tanks. A Doomfist just punching and zoning enemies away can be value in itself. On top of that, when you take point control, there are tons of corners and crevices where enemies could push in and get punched right into a wall. Now, yes, you're not going to be getting flashy picks the entire time, but you can do tons of value on the front line. You can peel for your allies, you can build up precious ult charge, you could cancel powerful utility like Hog Breather, and eventually, when you do this enough, you brawl on the front line enough, you're going to have a giant amount of shields. And I mean huge. And then you can go and make a play in the mid fight, and you can tank tons of things. Like, imagine diving a McCree, him flashbanging and fan the hammering you, but you just live it and kill him anyways. That's the type of stuff that you can do when you incorporate this style, and it works even better up against characters that are all Peely characters, because they're not going to get that free pick on you. They're picking these characters because they think they can shut you down, but if you play in this really passive, reserved way, they can't, and you can still get value. Then we're going to the next character that we got for you on this list, and it's Mercy. And I'm sad to say, you're probably playing Mercy incorrectly. Now, besides her res, Mercy has two fundamental strengths over any other support, and it's her mobility that is fantastic, by the way, and it's a part of the reason why she can be played in so many comps, including dives, because she can constantly be switching between people and giving aid to people in need. But the second part is the fact that she can pivot from damage boosting to healing as well. Now, Mercy is essentially the ultimate max minner, and what I mean by that is she can give heals to whoever perfectly needs it on a battlefield, just enough to keep them alive, and she can give or damage increase people that really can get value out of it in any given situation. The mark of a truly good Mercy can balance all these things in perfect tandem, where she saves and peels for her supports when they're needed, she pockets her Ashe and gives them damage boosts when she's in a position to pop off, and she's providing additional heal support to her tanks. Well, it's widely thought that you could just be Mercy and turn your brain off. That is 100% not the case, not even the slightest case, because a really good Mercy can bring a decent team to an amazing team out of nowhere just by providing the right amount of benefit or heal to whatever person needs it the most in any given team fight. Then we go to the next character that we gotta talk about on the list, and it's Reinhardt. And Reinhardt's a character that specifically a lot of low-ranked players just think, I can't carry on Reinhardt, there's nothing I can do on Reinhardt, I don't even want to play him because there's no possible way I can carry on Reinhardt if I have a bad team. I'm here to tell you that Reinhardt's amazing for carrying if you incorporate these tips. The biggest mistake I see on Reinhardt is Reinhardts are playing passive far too much. And you might be saying, okay, well, I'm getting killed, I'm getting shot, I need to be playing way defensive. Well, that might be true, but you can keep backing up into your team into the point where you get healed up, and then it's your job to pivot and go far more aggressive, balancing your shield and base health so that you can get on the front of the line with a pretty sizable shield. On top of that, Reinhardts just do not swing enough in general. When a Winston dives your team, you should not be shielding off that Winston's damage that can't actually be shielded off. You should be swinging at the Winston to put pressure on him to actually back up and get away from your team. That is the way that you truly peel for your team, not just shielding up. On top of that, if you think that Reinhardt can't carry team fights, then you just can't hit sizable shatters. Shatter might be one of the most dominant ultimates in ranked, period, capable of winning teamfights all by itself, and when players or enemies are not playing traditional, they're not playing Reinhardt, they're playing like Roadhog and Zarya, just getting a two-man Shatter, getting a free 2 kills, the first 2 kills that you see, that can just hard carry a teamfight, and the Rein v Rein duel is notoriously known as one of the biggest skill testers in the game, and it's an ultimate battle of wits, and it's an amazing thing that you should hold yourself personally responsible to win that Shatter battle, because if you can't out-shatter or mind games a Rein that's in gold, how are you going to go up against a better Rein that's in plat or diamond or masters or grandmaster? Now we're going to the next character that you're consistently playing incorrectly is Reaper, and Reaper is a character that sometimes I feel like some low-level players just get a little bit lost. They don't quite know what they're supposed to do, the direction they're supposed to take. They try to push the tanks, but they get focused by other people. They can't seem to get any value on the table, and they just feel useless. Now, Reaper's one of those characters that can incorporate 2 really big fundamental playstyles. First off is just playing with your team and getting divers off your supports. This is a really, really common anti-flank tactic where you're playing Reaper as a counter-pick strategy. Now, the next strategy is the lurk and pounce, and this is when you're not just walking up to the enemy tanks. You're not just going on them out of nowhere, crossing through open space, allowing enemies to see you coming, prepare for you, and fire at you. You are being sneaky. You are strategically putting yourself in a position to go from not being in sight or known to instantly doing damage, because the element of surprise is so important on Reaper. This means taking the high ground. This means dropping on the back line of the enemy team. This means by the time you take that first shot, it's already too late. By the time you take that first shot, the enemy didn't even know you were there. You took that first shot and now they're already at half HP. How easy is it for you to just finish them off and wraith away? Then we go to the last character that I got for you on this list, and it's a character that you probably play wrong in ranked, and it's Zenyatta. Now, the crazy thing about Zenyatta in ranked is, honestly, if you have the mechanical skill to back it up, Zenyatta is basically a DPS, and he can go on strategic flanks in a way that no one else can because his movements are completely silent. Now, yes, as the enemy's awareness gets better and they prioritize targeting you more and more, you have to play a lot more passive on Zenyatta. However, if JJoNak has taught us anything, it's that DPS Zenyatta, or Zenyatta that is very mechanically proficient and not afraid to make proactive plays to really catch enemy DPS and support off guard, that is a Zen that can get tons of impact, and especially in the lower ranks, I think this is one of the best ways to climb as a support, because essentially you are a DPS healer hybrid that gets to go on flanks where enemies just don't know where the heck you're coming from, and then you get to one-shot people. I mean, that's literally what it's like. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Wilson, of course. Until next time.